Good evening, people. Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Tuesday evening. We've got an absolutely massive show for you guys tonight. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. So on the show this evening, we are going to be talking about a player who is apparently having a medical ahead of a Manchester United move as we speak. We will be jumping into that in a little bit. We'll also be talking a little bit about Amrabat. Apparently a deadline has been set now by Fiorentina for this move to happen. So there is a bit of pressure coming from Fiorentina. So we will jump into that, of course. We will also be talking about a bid for, interest in Ivan Toney. We're going to be talking about Brandon Williams, who looks set to be leaving the club. We're also going to be talking a bit about the Glazers out protest, which is going on this weekend, which I think really needs highlighting. We're also going to be talking, we've got loads to get into, so let's just jump straight on into it. Do get involved in the comment section. I try and make it as interactive as possible, so do make sure you get involved. Right, let's start off with Brandon Williams. Now, I know he's a player which a lot of you really want to leave the club. Somebody who just isn't going to get game time at Manchester United anymore. And there's a story coming out in the last 20 minutes or so saying that Brandon Williams is set to join Ipswich Town. Obviously, that's where McKenna is, who obviously was one of the coaches under Erik ten Hag. He's done really well there, to be fair. Kieran McKenna, his name is, isn't it? At Ipswich Town. He's going to move there. It does look like it's going to be a loan, though. Again, another loan. Bit frustrating, but it does look like Brandon Williams will be finally leaving the club. Let me know how you feel about that one. Obviously, I appreciate it is a bit frustrating. I appreciate that everybody wants it to be a permanent deal. But at this point, we've just got to kind of take what we can. So he will go to Ipswich. Hopefully, he can go there and kind of increase his stock price, because at the moment there's clearly no interest in him for people who actually want to buy him. There was Leeds interested a couple of weeks ago. That didn't seem to materialise. But him going out on loan's better than nothing. So I wish him all the best. I hope he goes to Ipswich Town and I hope he has a good time there, because hopefully he comes back, and hopefully then he's worth 5-10 million at least, because at the moment we can't even sell him for 5 million. It's a joke, really, isn't it? So Brandon Williams to Ipswich Town, that looks set to happen. It's going to be a loan. No option to buy or anything. Right, let's move on to the next story, though. Let's keep things moving on the show tonight. Let's talk a little bit about Ivan Toney. So this one's really interesting, actually. This was coming out from a couple of journalists in the UK earlier on today, and they're saying that Manchester United are now considering making a move for Brentford striker Ivan Toney in January, as Erik ten Hag wants another striker option. And then there's another journalist saying Manchester United do like Ivan Toney and consider him ahead of the January transfer window. So just to be very clear, this would be a move in January. It wouldn't be now. He is currently banned from football because of betting. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I think he was betting him on himself to score goals and stuff. He's just done a really interesting interview, actually. If anybody is interested, go and watch. I think it's on the Diary of the CEO on YouTube. Go and check that out. Yeah. Go and check that out. It's really, I was watching some of it earlier and it's pretty mad. So I think he was betting on himself to be the first goal scorer and all sorts of other things. So yeah, go and check that out if you are interested. But let me know in the comment section, what would you do with Ivan Toney? Is he somebody you would like to see at Manchester United? For me personally, I think he's a quality player. I definitely would like to see Ivan Toney at Manchester United. And I think if we could get him in January, that would be a quality signing. It would really bolster the squad. It would really give us a big boost ahead of the second half of the season. I think he'd be available for probably somewhere around 30 to 50 million is my kind of prediction. Obviously, he's not that old. He's 27 years of age. He's had a really good couple of years, obviously minus these betting issues. Where is he at the moment? He's at Brentford, isn't he? I think he'd be a quality player. I think Arsenal are also interested in him. There's a couple of teams who are interested in him. He is somebody who's come all the way up the pyramid, hasn't he? He's played in League One, he's played in League Two. He's done it all. But I think he's proved himself in the Premier League. And if we could get Ivan Toney in January, I think it would be a really good signing. So I'm just having a quick look through his stats. So last season, he got 12 goals. Sorry, he got 20 goals last season and 4 assists in 33 matches. So he did really well last season. And I do think he would be a good person to get into the club. Now, the only thing I will say about him is, do Manchester United want to bring somebody in who has these types of, charges against them? Is there the worry that maybe he'll, do the gambling stuff again? That is obviously a possibility. But let me know in the comment section what you think about Ivan Toney. Would you like to see him at Manchester United? Let me know your reasons. I would definitely get him. I think he's a quality player. I think he is, yeah. And, you know, I know he's not the most, like, glamorous name. I know he's not an Mbappe or an Osimhen or a Harry Kane, but somebody who's got 20 goals and 4 assists for Brentford in the Premier League alone, that's quality. That's really, really good stats for him. So I don't want people, you know, turning their nose up at him saying, oh, Ivan Toney, why are we talking about him? I think he'd be great. I really do. But let me know in the comment section what you think about Ivan Toney. Would you like to see him at Manchester United? And also let me know, how much do you think would be a fair price to pay for Ivan Toney's services? Now, let's move on to the next story, though. Let's talk a little bit about Pellistri really quickly. So we did bring this onto the show earlier on today, that it looks like Manchester United are set to loan out Pellistri to Sheffield United. So this has picked up a little bit more steam. Apparently, the player wants to move. Obviously, Sheffield United want to bring him to the club, but they're still waiting for the final sign-off from Manchester United to give him the authority to go there. Now, as I said earlier on today, unless there's another attacking player coming into that squad, unless they're going to go for a Mohamed Kudus, unless they're going to go for somebody else in those attacking positions, I think letting Pellistri go is a really, really big issue for me. I think it is. I know he needs experience, but we don't have the squad depth at the moment to be letting somebody of his quality leave Manchester United. I think it's a bad idea. I think he should stay at the club. I think he should get some game time. I know some of you in the fan base would rather see him play over Antony, which is obviously fine. That's your opinion. But for me, I think he definitely can compete with Antony, and he should be getting some first-team football. I really, really do think that. But let me know in the comment section what you think about Pellistri. Would you like to see him at the club? Would you like him to go out on loan? Obviously, Sheffield United, let's just be fair. Sheffield United is a quality loan move for him. He'll be playing every single week in the Premier League, and I think it'll be good. It just shows where our club is at the moment, though, that we're having to rely on 20, 21-year-olds who have barely played any football for Manchester United, and we're all sat here saying, don't play the 100 million euros Antony, play Pellistri instead. That kind of shows the level of where we're at the moment, doesn't it? Where probably, I'd say half of the people watching this show tonight would rather Pellistri, who is pretty unproven, but when he does play, does show glimmers of being a quality player, would rather have him play over someone we just spent 100 million euros on. That's the issue here, isn't it, with our recruitment team and our recent kind of signings and stuff. But do let me know in the comment section, would you let Pellistri go out on loan? Would you prefer to have Pellistri play over Antony as well? Because that's the $1 million question. Do let me know what you think. I'm not sure whether I'm going to say 100% he should be starting over Antony. I think maybe that's a little bit too soon, but I do definitely think he should be getting game time over Antony in some games. You know, maybe if it's in the League Cup, in the FA Cup, the second half of matches, bring him on if Antony's not having a good game. We should definitely have him there for that. But whether Erik ten Hag will start him every single game in the Premier League, I probably don't think he will personally, but let me know what you think about that one. Would you like to see him go out on loan, or would you like him to stay at the club for one more season? He is about to sign a new contract, though, let me just add. He will sign a new contract at Manchester United before he goes out on loan. So that's obviously a positive, because I think he is a quality player. I think he is someone we should definitely be nurturing, someone we should be maybe even building the team around in the next kind of 3 to 5 years, because him, Amad Diallo, all of these young people coming through, they're absolutely quality. So let me know what you think about them in the comment section. Right, let's move over to Sofyan Amrabat. Now, I know this is one that a lot of you are really, really keen on getting over the line, isn't it? A lot of you really want Sofyan Amrabat at Manchester United, me included. A lot of you are literally pulling out your hair. I don't have any hair, but pulling out hair if you have it over this deal. Now, there was a story coming out this afternoon from a journalist who I've never heard of, and I've seen lots of people talking about this story. It is a news show, so I'm going to bring you the news, and then we can decide whether we think it's worth putting anything on. So the story that's coming out this afternoon is that Manchester United have provisionally agreed on a fee with Fiorentina worth around £29 million to sign Sofyan Amrabat. It goes on to say that personal terms have also been agreed, but Manchester United are waiting to sell McTominay or Van der Beek before completing the deal. Now, I think this story that's come out today is just a regurgitation of old news. We heard many, many weeks ago that apparently Manchester United and Fiorentina have been talking about a deal for a very long time, and they already know what type of price it will take for the bid to be accepted, okay? So this story that's come out today isn't new news to me. It's just somebody spinning the old news and making it seem like new. Now, there is some new news which is quite significant, and it is a bit of a concern, to be honest. So this is coming out from Sport Witness and Corriere dello Sport, which is obviously a massive Italian outlet. And they are reporting the following. Fiorentina are now becoming frustrated with Manchester United's antics surrounding Sofyan Amrabat. Manchester United must bid in the next 48 to 72 hours, or Amrabat will have to stay at Fiorentina. So not only are the fans getting annoyed, not only is Amrabat getting annoyed, but now Fiorentina are getting annoyed. Fiorentina have set a deadline. Manchester United have 72 hours in order to put this bid in. If the bid doesn't go in, they're ultimately threatening us that they'll keep him. Whether this will happen or not, I don't know. I think that I think they'll still sell him. I do. Whether it'll be to Manchester United, whether it'll be to another club, who knows? But I'm not massively worried about these idle threats from Fiorentina, because we know that they'll sell him if the right bid comes in. We know that there's plenty of people interested in him, and I do just think this is an attempt to try and speed up the deal. And you know what? Fair play to them. Fair play to them for putting out this story today saying that the exact word is they're frustrated with Manchester United's antics. And you know what? I'm frustrated with Manchester United's antics. We've been talking about Amrabat for far too long. I'm absolutely sick of it. If he doesn't come in and do really, really well, I'm going to feel like an absolute idiot for spending so much time speaking about this person and spending so much effort, bigging him up and saying he's going to be our best signing of the window. Like, if we don't get him now, it's just going to be so frustrating, isn't it? But let me know how you're feeling about the Amrabat situation. Do you think we will still sign him? Do you think this is all just a smokescreen? Do you think we're going to go for somebody else? Let me know your thoughts on the player in the comment section below. For me, it is very frustrating at the end of the day, right? That the club that we're trying to buy the player off is having to leak to the press in their own country, in Italy, that they're frustrated with the antics of Manchester United. I mean, how embarrassing is that? It's absolutely embarrassing. I do think that they are just making an idle threat, though. I think they'll still sell him to us. But hopefully Manchester United are gullible enough to think, we need to act now. They've said we've got 72 hours. We've got to put in this bid. Otherwise, he's going to go somewhere else. So hopefully Manchester United get on with it. I think that they'll probably wait until after the weekend. I think maybe next week we'll put in a bid now. I just think they're dragging it out and out and out. Apparently McTominay still needs to go, but we're hearing nothing about McTominay. There's no new news to bring you about Scott McTominay. There's no news about Donny van de Beek. It's gone completely quiet. So where are we in this position, Right, let's move over to the story about the surprise medical today, because I know a lot of you are very, very excited about this one. Now, it is a goalkeeper, okay? And his name is Altay Bayındır. We have spoke about him on the channel a couple of times before in the past, and he is somebody who looks really, really good. I've watched a couple of Scout Report videos. I've watched some videos on YouTube and all sorts of different things, and I've spoken to a couple of friends who watch more Turkish league football than I do. I don't really watch a lot of Turkish league football on a regular basis, so he was a new name to me until about a month ago. Right, so Altay Bayındır, he's 25 years of age, Turkish goalkeeper. He is the goalkeeper for Fenerbahce, right? So to give you a bit of a timeline of where we've been at with this story throughout the day, we had David Ornstein report maybe an hour or so ago that Bayındır is currently having a medical at Manchester United ahead of a move. He's available for €5 million. That's what his release clause is, which I think is fine. I think that's good for a backup goalkeeper. It's about £4 million. No issue with that whatsoever. When you take into consideration we just sold Matic Kovar for 9, it makes sense why we sold him, right? You sell Matic Kovar, who's not very experienced, and you get for 9 million, and then you go and buy the Fenerbahce first team goalkeeper who's got a lot of experience. He's the Turkish national team goalkeeper as well, and you can go and buy him for 5. So if we get this deal over the line, we've made €4 million and we've got a better goalkeeper. So if this one happens, I'm really, really happy about it. Now, I know you're probably all sat there saying, why are you happy that we're signing a goalkeeper from Fenerbahce? But you have to look at it black and white, right? We sell a goalkeeper for €9 million who's barely played any football for Manchester United and doesn't have that much experience. And you go and buy another goalkeeper who's really, really experienced. He had a really good season last year for Fenerbahce. As I said, he plays with the Turkish national team. So I do think this is a positive. And Fabrizio Romano has just come out in the last couple of minutes saying that Altay Bayındır returns to Istanbul after medical checks with Manchester United in Athens. Manchester United staff today also in Athens for Bayındır's medical tests. Next steps to follow soon. There is another Turkish journalist coming out in the last couple of minutes as well saying that Manchester United have triggered his release clause, which is €5 million, around £4 million. So it does look like this deal will be done. Now, just to give you the full picture of what's going on here, obviously Dean Henderson is key to this process because Manchester United will not be signing him unless Dean Henderson leaves the club. There has been a bit of a development on that front. It looks like Dean Henderson will be joining Crystal Palace. That's been reported today. It's not quite here we go yet, but Crystal Palace is the most likely option. That's what David Ornstein's reported. And it looked like it will be a loan move with an obligation to buy. So we've really sorted out our goalkeeper situation this summer. We've got rid of David De Gea. David De Gea was on £20 million per year in wages. We've cleared that. We've got some money for Matis Kovar, around €9 million, which I think is good, considering he's barely played any football. And we're about to bring in the Turkish national team goalkeeper, who, as I said, has got heaps of experience, for only €5 million. So I think this is good business. I know this isn't the most exciting news that you have ever heard, but I think it's positive. I do, and I think it makes sense, because if it allows Dean Henderson to go, if it allows us to go into other targets, then I definitely think this is a sensible bit of business. But do let me know in the comment section what you think about this new goalkeeper. If there's anybody from Turkey or anybody who watches Turkish football regularly, please do let me know your thoughts on this player. Let me know if you think he'll fit into the system. From what I can see of him, he does look like the type of person who is more of a similar mould to Onana than who was the other guy we were linked to? The guy from Benfica, the Greek goalkeeper. He didn't look that great. I watched quite a lot of videos on him. He looked like a good shot stopper, but he didn't look particularly good with his feet. And we desperately need somebody who is as similar to Onana as possible, because if Onana gets injured and we've got a goalkeeper who's not good at distribution, we may as well have just kept David De Gea. You know, otherwise, what's the point in getting rid of him? We need the goalkeeper and the backup goalkeeper to both be of a similar type, and this guy is the perfect image of it. So I think it's good. I think it's positive that we've completely changed our goalkeeping setup. Obviously, David De Gea is gone. Dean Henderson's on the brink of leaving, and we've brought in two goalkeepers that the manager actually wants, and two goalkeepers that fit the manager's ethos and playing style, because that's what's important here. We need to give the manager everything he possibly needs to succeed. But do let me know in the comment section what you think about this one. I know we haven't just signed Mbappe or someone of that level. I know it's a backup goalkeeper, but I think, you know, you've got to give some credit where it's due. It's only a little slice of credit, all right? I'm not sat here deluded thinking I'm going to go and run around in the streets screaming because we've just signed a backup goalkeeper, you know? I'm very calm about this one. I just think selling someone that never played, Matis Kovar, for 9, and bringing in a national team goalkeeper for 5, who's a better goalkeeper, I think that's good business. So hopefully, let's think about this strategically, right? Hopefully, all of this money that we're saving can go towards this Amrabat deal. Hopefully that's what's going to happen, but we will, of course, keep you updated. We'll keep you updated as and when we get more stories on that. We've got over 1,200 people watching the show this evening, which is absolutely amazing. Big ups to every single one of you who are watching today. Please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. I've just dropped a link in the chat. We're 20 subscribers away from 14,500. So please go and subscribe now, and we will hit that by the end of the video. Right, let's crack on with the rest of the show, though. Let's move on to the Glazers protest. Now, this is probably the most important bit of the whole show, so everybody, please do listen to this bit carefully. Now, the community, the group, the 1958, they're on Twitter. You can go and check them out yourself. They are organising a protest this Saturday at Old Trafford, which will be a 60-minute sit-in after the game. So once the game finishes against Nottingham Forest, they're encouraging all of the fans inside the stadium to stay, refuse to leave, obviously with the banners and all the rest of it, Glazers out, this coming Saturday. Now, if anybody's going to the game, obviously I do encourage you to get involved with that. And there was something really, really interesting that came out earlier on today. There was a photo circulating on Twitter, right? And even people who work at the megastore at Old Trafford, at the Manchester United megastore, were handing out the flyers for this protest on Saturday. Like, I honestly could not believe this. It was on my Twitter earlier on. The 1958 group reposted it, and they've got a big stack of flyers sat on their counter. And the actual staff who work at this megastore for Manchester United are handing out these flyers, these anti-Glazers flyers, to try and convince people to come to this protest that's taking place on Saturday. Absolutely mad. And it just shows the kind of level of where we are at the moment, you know? The level that even the people who work at Manchester United want the Glazers out of the club. They're trying to get them out. So yeah, anybody who is around on Saturday, please do get involved in that protest. Obviously, you have to have a ticket. You have to be going to the game anyway. But I do encourage you to get involved. Obviously, it's a peaceful protest. And the messages that the 1958 group are portraying on the flyers today is it's a sit-in protest after the Forest game. 18 years the Glazers have been here. The Glazers have taken out £2 billion in 18 years, and they've wasted £1 billion. It goes on to say, United fans demand a resolution to 18 years of ignorance and silence. Join us, stand with us, fight with us, stay in your seat. for you, for us, for each other. So hats off to the 1958 group. Really, really good thing what they're doing here. And hopefully things like this actually get the Glazers' attention. Hopefully all of the pressure gets to their head. And hopefully we get the news that we all want and they're leaving in the coming weeks. I still think they are going to leave. I still think that they will go after the transfer window, but that's just my opinion. I haven't heard that from anywhere else. So obviously just take that as an opinion. That's not, that's not pure fact. Whenever we get more news about the takeover, we will bring it to you, but we try and keep it to a minimum now because I think it's just draining for everybody, as I'm sure you all agree. Now, I wanted to bring you a bit of positivity actually around Raphael Varane because I know a lot of you were really, really concerned about Varane leaving the club and joining, going to Saudi Arabia. We spoke about this yesterday on the show. There was a couple of journalists saying this. Now, Fabrizio Romano has come out in the last hour saying the following. Raphael Varane wants to stay and will stay at Manchester United. The intention on the side of the player and the club is to continue together. So any links with him to Saudi Arabia can be completely dismissed. He will be staying at Manchester United, which I think is the correct decision. Losing Raphael Varane this close to the end of the transfer window would have been absolutely terrible. I really, really think that. We wouldn't have been able to get a proper replacement in time. And I don't think it would have been sensible. I don't. I think he's someone that you look to replace in a year or two. But at this moment in time, Raphael Varane is still one of our best players. He's an elite centre-back. He's world class. He's won everything in the game. His mentality is exactly what we need at Manchester United. You let go of him, who'd you bring in? You bring in Jean-Claire Todibo. Yes, he might, in the next, he might be a more up-and-coming player, but short term, I think Raphael Varane has to stay. So I'm really, really happy that he will be staying at the club. And I'm happy that this has been confirmed because I was getting a little bit worried. And I know people in the chat were saying, let him go for 50, 60 million. And all the rest of it. There's a bit of breaking news coming out as well. I'm trying not to speak about Mason Greenwood too much just because what's happened has happened. But Steven Gerrard, right? Get this. Steven Gerrard, obviously the manager of Al Ettifaq in Saudi Arabia, has put up the story that was on, I don't know what website it was on, the Daily Mail, the Sun. So obviously there was a link saying that Mason Greenwood was going to go to Al Ettifaq. And Steven Gerrard has just shared the story on his Instagram, and he's just put massive things, fake news above it. So Steven Gerrard is clearly not happy with the link of Mason Greenwood to Saudi Arabia. I don't know what to think about that. I just thought I'd bring it into the show. Anyway, let's crack on with the rest of it. I will read out some of your questions as well. So if anybody in the chat has any questions or anything that you want to talk about, please do get involved now. Put the letter Q in front of your message, and I will circle back to them in a little bit. Now, I wanted to take this little part of the show to try and diffuse a bit of anxiety, let's call it, that's going on within the fan base at the moment, surrounding the manager, surrounding the team. I've been doing a bit of digging on our stats and watching back the games from over the last 2 weeks. I watched back both of our games today just because I wanted to actually see in a more relaxed environment how we were playing and all the rest of it. Right. Now, there was two key stats that I found from the games, right? We've got the third highest expected goals out of every team in the Premier League. The only two teams above us were Newcastle and Brighton, right? We had, I think it was 6 expected XG, was the short term, 6 XG across the first 2 Premier League games, yet we only scored 1 goal. My point here, the reason for bringing this up is Rasmus Højlund is reportedly going to be available for the game on Saturday. This was a story that came out earlier on today. We do think at this stage it will just be available, i.e. be on the bench. I doubt he's going to be starting, but there is a story this afternoon saying he will be available for the game against Nottingham Forest. Now, I think if Rasmus Højlund's in that team, we get goals. We were creating opportunities. It wasn't like last season where we created no opportunities and we'd get 1 goal from nowhere. We should have scored 2 or 3 goals against Tottenham in that first half. We should have scored more than 1 goal against Wolves as well. Another stat that I found really, really interesting was this. Only Brighton have created more chances than Manchester United in the first 2 Premier League games this season. Manchester United created 32 chances in 2 matches so far this season, and Brighton created 38. So I just wanted to bring this into the show because I've seen people in the chat over the last couple of days saying, get Erik ten Hag out. He's not good enough. He's rubbish. And there's quite a lot of negativity towards the manager. There's a lot of negativity towards the players. And when you actually look at the stats of the game, I know people will say, oh, well, they didn't score, so it doesn't matter. But my point here is, when we get our striker on the pitch, who we've just spent £60 million for, if then we're not scoring these goals, then maybe you can start getting worried, right? But we're creating the chances. You're relying on Bruno Fernandes to score headers. That chance he missed against Tottenham, Rasmus Højlund should be scoring that. Erling Haaland scores that. Lewandowski scores that. Harry Kane scores that. You're having to put Bruno Fernandes as your striker to, you know, in those opportunities. So I felt a little bit more positive after kind of watching it back. After watching it back today, looking through some of the stats and just kind of trying to compress it properly, because I do think it's important for us to do that as fans, because it's so easy to watch a game and then after the game come out on Twitter, come out on YouTube, whatever you want it to be, get Erik ten Hag out and all the rest of it, because I understand it. You're emotional after a football match, and I feel the same. I'm not saying I want Erik ten Hag out, but you know, I know how it is after you've lost a football match. It literally kills you inside, doesn't it? It's so frustrating. It's so upsetting. But you sometimes have to let the dust settle, go back and just reflect on those last two games. Actually look at how we played. Look at what we were trying to do. We were very unlucky in that first half against Tottenham. We should have had a penalty. We should have scored 2 or 3 goals. We had some easy chances that our strikers missed. Anthony hit the post. So I know that doesn't get us 3 points. I know you're probably sat there saying, well, we didn't score. I don't care. But let's just try and stay positive. Let's get behind the team. And let's hope that on Saturday, we absolutely batter Nottingham Forest. If we're sat here on Saturday evening and we've just been battered by Nottingham Forest, I'm still not going to be Erik ten Hag out, but I can understand people's frustration at that point. But I just wanted to bring this into the show because I know a lot of people are feeling quite down at the moment about Manchester United. I know people think we're going backwards. I know people are saying Erik ten Hag out. I know people are saying Mason Mount's a flop and all the rest of it. And I just wanted to bring this into the show to try and give a bit of context, a bit of actual factual research into this to give why I feel a little bit better about everything today. So I hope that's helped some people. If you think that's absolute rubbish and you don't care, obviously that's completely fine and that's up to you. But when I deep dived on stuff, it did make me feel a little bit better about those things. You know, Bruno should have scored that goal, etc. You know where I'm going with this. So let's try and stay positive. Let's get behind the team. Let's get behind Erik ten Hag, because the main message is get the Glazers out. That's what needs to happen. We don't need to be turning against our manager 2 games into the season. Refocus that energy against the Glazers. If you're tweeting Erik ten Hag out, that's up to you. Tweet about the Glazers. Get rid of the Glazers. Move that energy over to something which is actually going to create some positivity, because Erik ten Hag's not going to get sacked 2 games into the season. But anyway, that's my little rant of this bit of the video. I do think it's important because, yeah, we need to get behind the team. We need to get behind the manager. He has my trust. And I get it. People are upset about Anthony. We spent 100 million on him and all the rest of it. But anyway, that was my little part of the show. I think it's important. So we've got a question here. Prince Ramsey says, do you think Erik ten Hag will get fed up with the greedy Glazers and leave Manchester United? And you know what? I'm going to say something controversial here. I think there's more of a chance that Erik ten Hag will leave himself than that he'll get sacked. I genuinely think that at the moment. I think there's more chance that in the next year or so, if the Glazers stay, a Barcelona, someone of that level comes in for him and his head gets turned and he goes. Because at the moment, if you're Erik ten Hag, you're trying to do the job with your hands tied. Okay? Yes, we got Rasmus Højlund. He wasn't the first choice option. Yes, we got Mason Mount. Was he the first choice option? I'm not sure. Who knows? We haven't got any of his real first choice options. We didn't get Osman. We didn't get Kane. We didn't get Kim Min-jae. We didn't get Moises Caicedo. There's all these people that we knew that Erik ten Hag wanted and would fit into his system perfectly. We haven't even got Amrabat. We're 2 games into the season. We don't have Amrabat. We're desperate for him. So in relation to your question, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I genuinely think that that he's more likely to leave based on his own, you know, upset with the club than based on, you know, us sacking him. I just want to check how long his contract is actually, because obviously we haven't given him a new contract. Let me just check. So he's only on a 3-year contract as well, which is quite interesting. So obviously he signed last summer. So he only has 2 years left of his contract, Erik ten Hag. So they need to offer him a new contract within this year. Otherwise, there is obviously the risk that he could go to another club. But yeah, let's just try and stay positive. Josh is asking about the fee for Brandon Williams. So we did speak about this a little bit before, but there is no fee for Brandon Williams. It will be a loan to Ipswich, obviously where Kieran McKenna is the manager. Which obviously is annoying, but it is what it is. Right, let's move on to the next part of the show. I just wanted to mention this really quickly on the goalkeeper situation as well. Obviously, we spoke about Altay Bayindir from Fenerbahce, who looks set to join Manchester United for €5 million. Now, the other option was the goalkeeper from Benfica, and apparently they were asking for €10 million. So when you look at it like that, I can see why we're going for this other guy. We're making a bit of money by selling Matiš Kovar. We're bringing in a better, more experienced goalkeeper for half the price. So good bit of business that. John says, how unhappy do you think Erik ten Hag is about our last two performances? I mean, Erik ten Hag must be absolutely livid. Livid. I'm sure he's not happy in the slightest with how we've performed in those first two games. It's been an absolute disgrace. It has. But, as I said, we've got the third highest XG and the second highest chances created in the Premier League. What he's going to be frustrated about is not finishing those chances. He said that in the press conference after the game. We created chances, but we can't finish them. We had opportunities to score. We had opportunities to win both games comfortably, and we didn't do it. That will be the biggest worry for him. You know? That's the biggest worry, and it's the biggest worry for me. And that's why we're absolutely desperate to get Rasmus Højlund back on that pitch. Ranjit says, Erik ten Hag is fine. The team will click. Yeah, 100%. Look, final bit on Erik ten Hag. Just please remind yourselves of this, right? This time last season, we'd lost the first two games of the season. I was at the Brighton game. It was absolutely miserable, the first game of the season. The next game, we lost 4-0 to Brentford. We're doing better, points-wise, than we were at this point last season. So just remind yourselves of that. I don't want to see people saying Erik ten Hag out in the chat. Obviously, if you have a really, really good reason for it, then let us know, because I love to have conversation. I love to see other people's opinions. But just writing Erik ten Hag out over and over again, it just doesn't really do anything for me. John says, do you think Anthony Martial should start against Arsenal? I don't know. I still have this really small underlying feeling that Anthony Martial is going to leave the club. I have a feeling that he might go to Saudi Arabia. That's just my hunch. Now, the thing you have to remember with the Saudi market is their market is open until the 20th of September. So ours obviously closes next week, but the Saudi market remains open for 3 weeks after ours closes. So just because Manchester United don't sell Anthony Martial this week, it doesn't mean that they won't sell him in the kind of the September period. I know that means we wouldn't be able to replace him, but imagine we go and sign another attacking player in the next couple of weeks. It would then allow us to sell Anthony Martial in September. It gives us a bit more time. And we are going to talk about this really, really quickly, actually. There's a story coming out this afternoon, which I think you will like. The story is Erik ten Hag is really pushing for a new attacker before the window closes. It goes on to say he was told all summer that he'd have Mason Greenwood back by August, so he expects to now bring in someone else. So, as we all know, let's not go over the Mason Greenwood thing for very long, but the club were bringing him back. Erik ten Hag was expecting Mason Greenwood to come back. He was ready for him to rejoin the team. That's obviously not happening. That's done now, so let's not talk about that. But he now wants another signing in the attacking positions. That's what's been reported today. And you know what? Hats off to Erik ten Hag. He's gone from having Mason Greenwood to not having Mason Greenwood. We need to strengthen those areas. Anthony's not good enough to play every single game at the moment. When he struggles, who replaces him? Pellistri's about to go out on loan. Amad Diallo's injured. All you have then is Sancho, and that's it. And Sancho's probably going to be playing as a false nine more than as a right winger. So I completely agree with Erik ten Hag, and I'd be feeling really hard done by if I was him. You know, you've been promised Mason Greenwood. That's not happened. Okay, let's move on from that. But you need to now give me someone else. You can't just take him away from me and then give me nothing. So I think that is positive, and I think that we will get something done, whether that will be Taremi, whether that will be Mohamed Kudus, whether that will be Gift Orban. We have to go and sign another attacking player, and we need to do it now. We don't have time to waste. But let me know in the comments section, who would you go and get in the attacking areas, and do you think Manchester United will get it done? Keith says Santiago Jimenez for the striker option. Yeah, he looks quality actually, doesn't he? I think he is available for around 20 million euros as well. So, I mean, that's another Eredivisie player though. We're going to be Eredivisie FC by the end of this season, aren't we? We pretty much are already. I saw a list of all of Erik ten Hag's transfers, and I'm pretty sure the only player who's not played in the Eredivisie is Casemiro. Out of every signing we've ever made under Erik ten Hag, every single one of them has played in the Eredivisie in their time. So Jimenez joined Feyenoord last season for 6 million euros. He's apparently available for around 25 million euros. That would be a great signing. Whether or not it will happen, we'll have to keep an eye on it. But the story that we spoke about earlier, that he is pushing for another attacking player, is good. He got 15 goals last season in the Eredivisie, so it's pretty solid for his first season in the Dutch league. We've got over 1,300 people watching now, which is absolutely massive. Big ups to every single one of you. Please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are literally 2 subscribers away from 14,500. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, how does everyone feel about us being Eredivisie FC? We literally are Eredivisie FC, aren't we? I think it's quite funny, but obviously if the signings work out, it's great, but we're getting trolled on Twitter saying literally we are Eredivisie FC now, aren't we? Yeah. Right, let's move on with the rest of the show. We've got about 10 minutes left before we wrap things up. Where are we? So there's another story coming out this afternoon, and it's about Ryan Gravenberch. So this one is as follows. Ryan Gravenberch has told representatives in March/April that he wants to join Manchester United. So, you know what? I'm going to live in dreamland here. The last few weeks of the window, we get Gravenberch on loan. We get Amrabat for £25 million to 30 million. We go and get a striker, Gift Orban, Jimenez from Feyenoord, Mohamed Kudus, one of those people. We go and get those 3 signings and obviously the backup goalkeeper. That's what needs to happen in this last week of the window. If that happens, I'll probably say we've had a 6 or a 7 out of 10 window, okay? At the moment, we're somewhere around a 4. It's been terrible. Absolutely awful. Rubbish. Do I need to say anything else? What would you rate the transfer window out of 10 so far? Let me know in the comment section. Outgoings has been an absolute disgrace. It really has. Yes, we've cleared some money off the wage bill, but we've brought no money in from selling players. So yeah. Right, let's move on to the next bit of news though. So where are we? Right, now this one's a bit of a strange one. There's a story coming out from Manchester Evening News this afternoon saying that United have apparently made an approach for another midfielder. Great. I mean, how many approaches are we going to make this summer? We may as well just rename ourselves Approach FC, shouldn't we? We could either be Eredivisie FC or Approach FC. Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comment section. What would be your preferred new name of Manchester United? We're no longer called Manchester United. We can either be Eredivisie FC or Approach FC. Let me know which you prefer. So, anyway, Manchester Evening News have put out a story saying that Manchester United have apparently made an approach for Liverpool target and Fluminense midfielder Andre. Now, this isn't somebody that I'm that familiar with. If anybody in the chat is, obviously plays his football in the Brazilian league. I'm just doing a bit of, I've been doing a bit of research into him today. He's 22 years of age. He looks like a really, really quality player. He's a defensive midfielder. He's got a couple of years left on his contract, but it's apparently available for somewhere around £15 million. Now, the story that's coming out today saying is that Manchester United are thought to be interested in the 22-year-old as a potential alternative to Amrabat. However, Manchester United could be late to the party because Liverpool are reportedly trying to sign him. So if anybody knows this person, let me know more about him. I watched a couple of videos. He looks okay. He doesn't look as good as Amrabat. 22 years of age. I don't know. I think it's just another one of our many Approach FC stories. So I think we can put that one on in the bin. Let's have a look at what names we've got. So, right, this part of the show, guys, I'm going to read out all of the names that you have renamed Manchester United. Okay, so we've got Monitoring FC, we've got Interested FC, we've got Trying to Sign FC, In Talks FC, Spin and Talk FC, Personal Terms FC, Approach FC, Glazer Delay FC. What else have we got? Inept FC. Okay, it's getting a bit more nasty now. We've got Financial Fair Play FC. We've got Pigeon Post FC. Somebody else is saying Inept FC. Okay, I like it. I love it. I love all of your renames of Manchester United. I really, really do love it. Monitoring FC. Right, what have we got? John says, would you wait for Kobe Mainoo instead of buying 2 more midfielders? Well, the thing is with Kobe Mainoo, apparently he's going to be out for around 2 months. That's what Ten Hag said a couple of days ago. So for me, I don't think we can wait 2 months for Kobe Mainoo. And even if we do, we're putting so much pressure on him. He's 18 years of age. I know he looks ready, but what happens if he has one bad game? The press are going to be probably, I mean, you'd hope that the press wouldn't turn against someone of that age, but you know what the kind of the press are like in the UK, aren't they? They're really, really bad. And one game in, they'll probably turn on him. So I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid. I want him to come in and be slowly brought into the team. So yeah, I don't think we can wait for him to come back. I think we need players now. What else have we got? We've got Dividends FC. Really like that. What else have we got? Could be Signing FC. Disappointed FC. Honestly, I love it. Jamie's saying about a bid for Amrabat. Let me just double check on that one really, really quickly. Please do smash a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm just going to check about this proposed Gravenberch bid that someone is mentioning in the chat. Let's see if there's any legs on it. I can't see anything about it at the moment. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know about Gravenberch. We'll have to wait and see, my friend. We will. What else have we got? Link to Everyone FC. Rumours FC. Glazers Out FC. Reports FC. Honestly, thank you so much for all of your great renames of Manchester United today. I really, really like it. But we've got some positivity in the chat. Somebody is saying we will win the Champions League. Great. Happy days. Hopefully you're right. I would love it if Manchester United win the Champions League. I really, really would. Right, I'm just going to check if we've covered all of our topics for today's show. If you do have any questions you want me to answer, do get your questions in now. I'll answer a couple questions before the end of the show. So do get your questions in now, and I will answer them before the show ends. Right, where are we? Obviously, this whole renaming the club thing is just a bit of a joke, by the way, for anybody who's taking it seriously. We're just having a bit of fun. You've got to have a bit of fun sometimes, you know. Yeah, you got to have a bit of fun. Right, you know what? Everybody's just loving getting these renames in. I love it, honestly. I really, really do. There's a bit of a strange story coming out as well, which I don't really understand why this is even news, but apparently Manchester United and Chelsea are taking an interest in teenage striker Dino Klapijer. And I thought, oh, great, we're signing a striker. I got really, really excited. And then I looked, and he's some 15-year-old striker who plays football in Croatia. And I thought, why is this even news? And why am I being told this? Because, what, you're telling me some 15-year-old's going to come and play for Manchester United up front? Like, some of the stuff that comes out just completely baffles me. Jihan says, do you think we will actually sign Amrabat and Ryan Gravenberch? I do. I think we'll get I think we'll buy Amrabat, and I think we'll loan Gravenberch. I think we will. I think we have to. If Donny van de Beek goes and Fred's already gone, we need two midfielders. Maybe Scott McTominay leaves as well. Yeah, I think it will happen. Simon says, when will we be sold? Oh, my friend, I have no idea. I don't know. The sale is literally just so tedious now. It just drags on and on and on and on. My guess is after the transfer window closes, I think something will happen. But at this moment in time, my guess is as good as yours. It really, really is. I don't know the answer to that question. If I did, I would be a very rich man. If I had those bits of information. Right. That's everything for tonight, though. Thank you so much to everyone who has watched. I'll read out one more. Sarandeep says, do you think Amrabat resolves all our issues? He is just a defensive midfielder, and we need a good ball-holding midfielder and a striker. You could at least finish half of our chances, and we have to be realistic. Amrabat doesn't solve our problems, no. If we sign Amrabat, Gravenberch, and the striker, I still think we're battling for top four. Call me negative. Call me whatever you want. That's just my honest opinion. I think it's realistic. You know, Gravenberch, Amrabat, and a 20 million euro striker are not going to win you the Premier League. You're not going to compete with Manchester City and Arsenal with that. I don't think so. So I think those three signings are the minimum we need to be competitive and in the race for top four. Just based on what we've seen so far. Obviously, if Rasmus Højlund comes in and does something mad and scores 30 goals, 35 goals in the Premier League, if he does an Erling Haaland, who knows? Maybe we will win the league, but I just don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, I just think it's unrealistic. Keeper says, would you start Van de Beek against Forest? No, Van de Beek won't be starting against Forest. He's 100% frozen out of the project. He wasn't in the squad against Tottenham on Saturday. Van de Beek will not play for Manchester United again, I don't think. He'll go to Real Sociedad. Yeah, him and Brandon Williams are completely frozen out of the squad. That's what Erik ten Hag said. They will be leaving. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched the show this evening. Please do smash a like on the video on your way out, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We will, of course, be back at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow for your morning show. If anything breaks between then and now, of course, we will go live. So do make sure you hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran, and I'll catch you all later.